folks, Papa Boris here, playing some more Altered. It's time to play Yzmir. So this is the one that I think requires, this is my working opinion, I mean, I could be wrong, but I believe this faction just requires a radical mind shift in how you approach the game, because you're just not going to win fighting with these janky creatures. It's going to be with spells. So I think, actually, you need to keep Kraken's Wrath, because this is just too good not to keep. Dorothy. Okay, so do I keep a Dorothy? I think I'm going to get rid of Dorothy because obviously it's not going to be usable for a while, and I can draw another one. I don't know if we have another Kraken's Wrath in the deck. First turn play is going to be Alice, I reckon. And I want to keep Tooth Fairy for the Sabotage because there's a lot of good... What am I clicking the wrong stuff? Maybe I should get rid of Kraken's Wrath. God, it feels really bad. Right, I have Alice turn 1 and then Stargazer, Tooth Fairy turn 2. Okay, we're going to do that. I think there are worlds in which I would actually keep the Kraken's Wrath. And if I don't have any other Kraken's Wraths in the deck and I got rid of the one in the first round for mana, that is kind of sad. But I just don't think I can get rid of Alice, Sabotage, and this, which goes into the reserve and then presents opportunities for tempo plays in the future. Okay, so, yeah, I'm just going to commit Alice. It's scary because the opponent, with their boost, definitely can beat 4-stat. But, you know, we gotta try it. And if they win... Oh, God, what am I in? Oh, Jesus. Oh, that was a really bad mistake. I'm first player. I should have done this and made them commit. Then I could have just played my Alice in the other lane. Oh, wow, that was a blunder, everybody. That was a blunder. Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, luckily, I didn't have to pay for my insolence. My 4 water still does it. But, yeah, it could have been a disaster. Okay, so this thing has the really good support ability of anchoring something. So, like, if it were me playing Muna, I'd probably be playing, like, well, assuming I drew it, obviously, Daughter of Yggdrasil here and then anchoring it. So it's good that I got my Tooth Fairy to knock that out of contention. I'm the second player now, so I can't really do anything. All right, these guys, I don't have any spells, and I'm playing this. So yeah, we'll keep one and we'll pitch the other one. That's pretty simple. Like, 1-drops are much better in this game than in other TCGs, but I don't think that means in this situation I gotta keep both, since I'm not actually using one this round. So let's see what happens. My opponent could just play a 4/3/3 for 2 mana, which is perfectly fine. Or I'm hoping that they're like me. They play a Daughter of Yggdrasil, draw me a card, and then I bust out the Tooth Fairy and get rid of this Muna Druid. That is the hope. Okay, they're playing Spindle Harvesters. Well, that's very, very logical. They get the boost so that next turn stats are relevant. And I think I'm still going to use the Tooth Fairy here to sabotage away that. Now, the problem, of course, is I am making the classic rookie mistake of filling up my reserve, but I don't mind throwing away the Tooth Fairy. It's just a 1/1 for 1. The main effect was the sabotage. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm giving up the card advantage I gained by throwing it away, but there's also qualitative value because this is just a very strong card, and I don't want my opponent having a 3/2/2 on command. They're playing Nurture. All right, well, that's a fair move because what that does is it beefs up the thing that they're going to start. And also, of course, I just got rid of my Sabotage, so I can't do anything with it. But on the plus side, it means I can pass, so I'm actually not filling up my reserve. You know, you can just play the Yzmir Stargazer if you have mana left over so that it's the 1-drop in the reserve, but, you know, with my reserve being full, there's no reason for me to do that. All right, so I'm keeping up with them, but they do have an advantage on the board. They also have a Nurture that I currently can't sabotage. I'd love to get a sabotage spell. We got there, everybody. We got there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I think, is get rid of the Stargazer. It's just not good. It's just not good, and yes, it's a 1/2/1 for 1 if it's in your reserve. But I want to keep the removal because I think you need to keep the removal. And I definitely want the Spycraft. Now, what I'm going to do here is I will use my ability, because sometimes you don't want to use your ability, even if you're the first player. You want to first play a Sabotage card, but I don't think my opponent's going to play Nurture. I think they're going to play something else, planning to play Nurture on their second turn, and then I'm going to punch them with the Spycraft. So I will pass, let my opponent do their thing, and then hit him with the Spycraft. And then we'll see, because my reserve will be full. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play Alice and Spycraft, but I'll be able to play the Tooth Fairy and the Disciple. That's using up some of my mana at least. And I kept this. I think you just got to keep it. You know, if you're gonna do the thing, you got to do the thing. Up to one target character gains fleeting. So my opponent's gonna pass on this, obviously, because they don't want to put it on themselves. Now this is gonna be a 1 forest. So tragically, I actually cannot. I can't beat it because these things don't have forest. Oh God. Oh Jesus. Oh God. My opponent doesn't know that you can pass on this ability. So my opponent put fleeting on these spindle harvesters for absolutely no reason. Alrighty, well, you know, it is what it is. So let's cast the spell. Get rid of this rare, very strong nurture. And see if I get something in my reserve that might help me win here. The answer is yes. Yes. I have 3 mana and I can play both of these things and get 2 forests. Now, my opponent, of course, could play a card here and shore up their forest weakness. But in that case, oh yeah, this actually works out really well because this is, I mean, it could not be more perfect, honestly. It just couldn't, because basically now I can play the Lady of the Lake, which has this huge 3 water to block them from moving since they're moving on water. And then I also get to play the Tooth Fairy to actually move myself because I'm still in home base. And the desert and forest, well, not the desert. Well, actually the water moves me. The 2 of them combined, but also the forest. Okay, I could not have asked for anything better there. So we were equal. We each moved once. We each move once again. Oh, no, they moved twice, right? So, no, we're not equal. My opponent is ahead of me by a step. But they did put fleeting on their own harvester, so they threw them away. So I got something going, and I've got this to hopefully pull off a big move in the future. Okay, we got Rare Alice. A 3/3/4 for 3 is actually okay. A 1/1/3 for 2 is not amazing because, yeah, you get the overstat 3 for 2 energy, but the others are 1s, and also there's no water here, so I think this has to be an easy pitch. All right, but I mean, still, my opponent's in fine shape. They're only 1 card behind. They have, you know, a 1/3/4 for 2 coming out of reserve. I unfortunately don't have any more sabotage. But yeah, we've got Alice for 3, and then maybe just another Alice for 3, just 2 Alices. This is the rare version, so it's better, and we can kind of hide it. Unfortunately, the water is useless. That is a sad situation here with the water. Okay, what are you? A 4/4/4. Okay, that's fine. I actually have this to no, it doesn't beat him. So what we're gonna have to do, unfortunately, is put Alice here, and then my opponent is maybe gonna play the Cloth Dancer here, and it's, well, actually, hold on, it's a weird situation. We have opposite stats. Yeah, my opponent's just pile driving this to guarantee it. Now with a 1 mana, my opponent shouldn't be able to stop me from moving, right? No 1-drop has 2 forest and 2 desert, right? I mean, right? So the question is, do I just play this to get it in reserve? And I think the answer is yes, I do, right? Like, why not? I want this in my reserve because I might want to use the ability to make my Banishing Gate cheaper. Or even, like, if I draw another Spycraft, it'd be good to have that be cheaper as well. That could be a good surprise. All right, so you know, it's a thing. My opponent is a step ahead, still. As long as they keep moving, they will win before me. But they are a little low on cards. They're still, you know, drawing a couple more cards here, so it's, you know, a thing. Okay, we got Beauty Sleep, which I'm really happy to see, because this can actually be free. That can be a really good trick. And I have Spycraft. Okay, so the question is, am I actually willing to throw away Alice, which is a pretty good stat creature? I think I'm going to get rid of the Banishing Gate. I think Because the Beauty Sleep essentially performs the same function. But, I mean, it's worse because it's asleep instead of in the hand. So my opponent doesn't have to pay a mana to replay it. But it may be equally good, and I don't want to lose these stats. Plus, the Beauty Sleep is free with the Disciple's Reserve ability. So what I'm going to do here is Spycraft away Yongsu. My opponent makes a play. I go after you. They have to make another play. That might mean they use up all their mana. Then I'm playing face up, and I can decide what to do. Actually, I maybe should just use the Studious Disciple to make Spycraft cheaper. Keep my options open. Because if I play Spycraft full cost and then I don't end up wanting to play Beauty Sleep, then I'm going to regret this. Right? Because the stats are bad. It's forest, water. All this is doing is contributing 1 water. Yeah, I'm going to try this. We're going to just do this. We're going to play Spycraft. Fish to get something good in the reserve. And force my opponent to play face up. Well, it's a 1-1-3. Not terrible because it does fight good for water here. So, yeah, let's just see what happens. I mean, I've got 6 mana, so I can play her and Alice for 5, and I still have 1 left over for Beauty Sleep. The main thing I don't like about that is I don't win. If I move in both lanes, and my opponent doesn't, let's say, then I don't win, and then my opponent has whatever I Beauty Sleep still sitting on the board. All right, this is very tense. My opponent actually did keep their whole hand. So all that pressure with the sabotaging did have an effect. My opponent kept a card in hand and not put in mana so that they have more cards to work with. This wasn't even that great of a thing to sabotage because obviously it's not going to be turned on. But, you know. Oh my gosh. I wish I'd kept the Banishing Gate. Oh my lord. Okay. Well, So, now what? I think I'm going to shift my plans a little bit. What I'm going to do... Right, it's obviously pass. God, I hate this card so much, I never play it myself. So, if I had thought my opponent would play this, I would have kept the Banishing Gate. Dorothy, of course, would have been an amazing card to have. I haven't drawn any except for the one in the first hand. Okay, so what do I do here? I think... Like, I could move in both lanes. I could Beauty Sleep this. I could move in both lanes. My opponent now would have a fistful of cards. So it would not necessarily be guaranteed that I can move on my next turn, even if I pile drive a lane with everything I've got, and then my opponent wins. Another option is I play both of my characters here. Oh, it's actually weird, right? Because my opponent needs water. So I could put Alice here and Lady of the Lake here. Then I move once. My opponent doesn't move at all. I save the Beauty Sleep. Okay, well, you know what? I think I'm definitely just playing this here. So I think this is just definitely happening. And so now I can put Lady of the Lake here. So I move this one and this one stays where it is. That makes sense because I'll have a lot of water stuff. So I want to keep myself in water instead of pushing myself into desert. So that would make more sense than putting Lady of the Lake here so that I move this and my opponent still doesn't move. So yeah, that makes sense no matter what. So I'm going to put that here. And now the question is, do I Beauty Sleep this Coniferal Cone Man? Interesting. Does it lose Anchored? During rest, I don't go into reserve and I lose Anchored. During dusk, ignores stats. During rest, it doesn't go to reserve and it loses Asleep. Interesting. Actually, I cannot tell from the rules wording if a Beauty Slept creature loses Anchored or not. I'm going to Beauty Sleep it for science. The way I read it, I think you should, because what it says is that during rest, I don't go to reserve and I lose Anchored, so both of those things should happen. Beauty Sleep says it doesn't go to reserve and it loses Asleep. So that doesn't mean that Anchored shouldn't be lost. That's my rules lawyering of it. So that should be a 0. That should cost me nothing, because this was going to stay on the board anyway thanks to Anchored. Let's see, though. it doesn't matter because the thing is staying on the board no matter what. It lost anchored. Okay, so clap, clap, clap. Kudos to the devs of this game for correctly doing rules text. So this is going to be a pretty obvious turn. Both of us are going to pile drive this lane and try to win it. And then this just gets to sit here. And then if my opponent manages to win this lane, then they win the game. And if I win the game, then if I win the lane and they don't, then so it's just going to be all about this lane. This lane is basically irrelevant. So I need to think very carefully about my mana. We've got 3, 6, 9. So I can't do that. Unfortunately, 3, 6, 9, even with my mana, doesn't work. So there is a case to be made for keeping Baba Yaga so that I can draw into potentially something better. It's like, what do I think are the odds that against a Muna with 7 mana that I can win this with 8 water? That's really the question, right? Like, what are the odds I win this with 8 water? Because that's all I got is the 8 water. I can't play Beauty Sleep and I can't play my other card. I could sacrifice 2 water for a draw. Then I would have 2 mana to work with. It would have to be like a 2 mana spell specifically. All right, I'm going to get rid of Baba Yaga because she's not doing anything, so I might as well put her for mana if this goes another turn. And, yeah, all I'm going to do is just... there's a weird blind, actually. I could have kept Baba Yaga, and I could have discarded this to make my opponent go again so I could see what they were doing. Yeah, maybe that would have been interesting. All right, this is understated. The anchored is obviously irrelevant, so it's just a 4/4 for 4. So that's fine. I'm okay with that. I will play face up, right? Because there's no reason to give away what I've got cooking in the kitchen. And obviously here, because there's water here. In the other lane, there's no water. So let's see what they've got. I mean, if they have Nurture, I'm okay with Nurture. Actually, Nurture they lose, right? Because I just Beauty Sleep this thing if they Nurture it. They need to play another creature. It is somewhat encouraging. This was the best thing they had. I mean, they would have like wanted to play something cheaper to commit less of their mana, right? So let's see. Oh, it's a Spindle. It's a Sneezer Shroom. It's the good one, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so what is better here? This gives me 2/2/4. This effectively gives me 4/4/4, right? Right, so that just makes more sense. Now, I don't remember if Muna also has the Beauty Sleep card. If she does, then she wins. That's the problem with not playing the other Alice. Although, if I played the other Alice and she had Beauty Sleep, she still would have won. So yeah, it's the same thing no matter what. Yeah, if this is Beauty Sleep, it's over. I just don't remember if Muna has Beauty... No, Muna does. Muna definitely has it. Oh, wow, good game. All right, so my opponent moves twice. I don't move at all, and they win. That was hard fought. I obviously needed an extra move at some point. Or if I just had one more mana to play Alice here, I could have won. So it was... Possibly if I could have, like, kept something earlier... Like, even if, like a stupid Yzmir Stargazer would have actually let me win the game here, because it would have been a 1/2/1 and I would have won. So it was really, really close. That's encouraging. I mean, honestly, it sucks that I lost, but it is encouraging that Yzmir was able to hold their own against Amuna there, and it was so close. And maybe, like, just having kept that stupid Banishing Gate or something at some point would have made all the difference. So I am encouraged by the potential for Yzmir to be a good faction, keeping up with the big three, Muna, Bravos, and Ordis, even though this game didn't quite get there. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.